Hit record. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here today. For those of you who have not met me, my name is Emily. I am the new executive director for NKDO. My previous role with the organization was as director of community engagement. And in that capacity, I got a chance to meet a lot of you guys and have some one-on-one conversations, learning more about your backstory and your interest in advocacy and education and all of the wonderful things that NKDO members are excited to do to help advocate and encourage more people to consider pursuit of living donation and becoming educated about living donation. This initiative is a bit of an evolution from the education committee that we've put together here at NKDO. We kind of spent the last few months of 2024 discussing the best ways to mobilize our community to get the word out about living donation and educate not just the general population, but also, kind of targeted subsets of the general population about living donation. And we had a lot of conversations about who those subsets of the general population are who might be the most receptive to information about living donation, and who might be the most interested in learning more about becoming a living donor themselves. It's pretty widely known that there's a big overlap in the population of people who are living donors and people who at one time were or continue to be blood donors. And so there's been a lot of effort to try and create formal partnerships at a high level with the American Red Cross. We do have a formal partnership with Vitalent, which is another blood collection entity in the United States. And those partnerships are great. However, I have found, kind of by mistake actually, that there's a little bit more success to be had if we were to pursue this at a bit more of a grassroots level. So to that end, I wanted to bring up an opportunity to our members to mobilize themselves at local blood collection events near them. One of the unique things about our membership is that we have members all over the country spread out in a variety of different geographic locations. But we also know that there are blood collection events similarly spread out all over the country. So it's reasonable to make the connection that all of our members are likely to have a blood collection center collecting blood, or a local church or Elks Club or somewhere else that's hosting a blood drive within a pretty reasonably close distance to their home, that they theoretically could be mobilized to attend on behalf of NKDO to talk about living donation with the people in attendance at that blood drive. We have done a bit of a kind of dry run in the last months of 2024 and in the first handful of weeks here of 2025, where we have sent NKDO members to blood drives, blood collection events, to great success. And that has functionally looked like setting up a table at the blood collections event, whether that be near the registration table or whether that be near the snack area, and just basically setting up a table full of educational materials that the NKDO member would then sit at and be available to anyone who had any questions about living donation. It's a little bit more of a passive educational opportunity, but for those of you who have been to blood donation events, in many cases, it's a pretty small environment. It's pretty hard for there to be somebody sitting at a table with, educational materials and not have all of the people in attendance at least notice that you're there, or potentially, then come up and engage if they're interested. And another really great opportunity to kind of get information in front of people without being, overt or aggressive, is to disperse some materials at the snack table for people to peruse while they're sitting there recovering from their donation. We found that that's been pretty successful. So it was basically, it made sense to me based on the success of that to create an opportunity for the rest of you guys to participate in this initiative, and kind of broaden the scope. What that's required from us is on our end, the generation of some media kits that can be shipped all over the country to people who are interested in being mobilized in this way. But what that would require on your end, the volunteer, is to identify a local event happening near you. to reach out to the host to request that they allow you to come and be visible and be present at their event. And then for you to receive the materials that I would send you and go to the event and be present. So a little bit of additional information about that I want to share with you guys. I'd like to share my screen. All right, so first things first, this is just an image from myself and Lori Nelson, who attended an event at the University of Michigan. This is kind of a unique subset of the opportunities that are available like this, but the Big Ten schools have usually a competition every year for who can collect the most units of blood. And this particular event had representatives from our local OPO, from the National Bone Marrow Registry, and we were in attendance as well. And we had a ton of visibility at that event, which was great. But this easily could be, replicated and has been replicated at smaller blood collection events. And this is basically what the table setup would look like and what I would be sending to each of you. We have branded tablecloth. We have brochures to hand out that direct people to our website and answer some commonly asked questions. We have cute little business card style pieces of material that have a QR code that take people directly to more information about learning about what it takes to become a living donor, and some kind of giveaway swag stuff, pens and branded bracelets and such. The other things that I wanted to show you for this process begin here. So I have created a form, and I'm going to be sending an email out to everybody who registered for this event. So you don't need to worry about, where these links are or anything like that. I'm going to email it to all of you after this event is over. But this is the form that you would fill out once you have identified when you actually want to attend an event. And I'm going to actually swap this. Hang on super quickly. This is what I actually want to show you first. This is a document that you all are going to have access to take a look at. It's categorized by month down here in each tab. And it indicates that I've got 3 different media kits that are going to be traveling around the country to different people. And what I'm proposing is that you take a look at this media kit schedule, see where there are empty spaces where there's an available kit. Kit number 3 is not in, it's not being spoken for during the week of April 27 to May 10. So if you know that there's going to be a blood drive near you during that window of time that you'd like to attend, you could fill out the form here requesting that I send you a media kit. And you would fill out the form and include the host venue, the name of the event host, the contact information, which blood collection service, etc. The way you would find that out, basically, the first step of the process is by going to redcross.org, or if you know that Vitalant is your closest blood collection center, you would go to the Vitalant homepage. And you can pretty quickly and easily from their homepage click on Give Blood and then find a blood drive. Or at Vitalant, you would go to Donate Blood. And both of those options basically take you to immediately to a place where you can search for the nearest blood drive to your geographic location based on the date that you're interested in. So for me, I would say I'd like to find any blood drive near my zip code. And it shows me by date or by distance. You can filter it either way. Like if I'm looking at the media kit schedule and I think to myself, well, I know I'm pretty busy in May, but in June I've got some availability. So there's a kit that's not spoken for on June 8 to 21. So let's take a look by date. Load more results. That might actually get kind of a little. For example purposes, that's a little tedious to go all the way to June, but you can find the date that you are looking to have be present at an event, and then find a location near you. Once you've found the location, so for example, if I decide I want to go to the Utica United Methodist Church event because I know I'm available on February 19 and there's a media kit available that day, then I would at that point snag Utica United Methodist Church, pop it into Google, and find right here, there's their website. They have the contact information should be available right here on Google. And I could just give them a call I have drafted a script that you can use when you reach out to the host site. And I'm going to include that as well in the email follow-up to you all. The script is here. No, it's not. The script is here. Apologies. The script is here. Basically says, hello, my name is Joe Schmo, and I'm a community ambassador with the National Kidney Donation Organization. I see that you guys have a blood drive coming up on this date, and I'm wondering if I could speak to the person from your organization who's in charge of that event. Once you do get in touch with the person who is in charge of the event, you basically introduce yourself again, let them know who you are, you're connected with the National Kidney Donation Organization, and that you're interested in sharing educational information about living kidney donation with blood donors, since we know that most kidney donors started out by donating blood, and want to know if you guys would be open to having me come out to represent our organization at your blood drive. And then from there, once you get their permission or not, you can move forward with filling out this form requesting the media kit, and you would have the information necessary to fill out this part of the form. I know that that is a ton of information that I have just spit out at you guys. Once the actual event is over, while you're there at the event, what I would be looking for from you in follow-up is for you to just indicate how many hours you were at the event, the date and the location, and then the number of people approximately who were in attendance, how many people took materials, and how many conversations you had. Those are metrics that will help us as we determine how valuable these events are, and decide how to allocate resources toward this sort of educational endeavor in the future. I have spoken a lot. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I want to open the floor to any questions. This is a new initiative. I am working very hard and diligently to come up with a process that will work well for everybody. And I would love to hear from you guys what things you've noticed that you have questions about that I might have missed. You're welcome to put them in the chat, or you can just chime in and speak up here.
Hi, Emily. This is John Campbell. I was wondering, I donated at NYU Langone.
Hey.
Would it be possible to have that set up in the lobby at the hospital and do it?
Certainly would. This kind of initiative was targeted specifically toward blood drives because we know that's a demographic that we want to target, and we've had some success with the kind of initial kickoff. But we know that there are lots of other venues that tabling could be beneficial. Offhand, is your inquiry about if NYU Langone were to have a blood drive on site, or are you just saying like just putting up a table in the lobby?
The latter. Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily has to be connected with a blood drive, but
Definitely doesn't have to be connected with a blood drive in general. There are lots of other events that, or lots of other venues that it could make sense for us to just have a table. The difficulty is in the resources allocated. For example, if all of the, let's say there are 25 people on this call, and if everyone wanted to put up a table, then the resources become limited because we only have a certain number of media kits and the funds to replenish them. So the goal here is to try and kind of isolate a specific date range for someone to have access to the media kit before it then gets passed on to the next ambassador. Certainly you could fill out the form and just let me know when you'd like to have a media kit for use in the lobby at NYU Langone or at some other event that you think is in alignment with our mission. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I would think it would be like the Slack variable. I would do it when there are no other blood events, blood
Yeah.
drive. So.
Yeah, I think that's great. If at any point you review the calendar and you see that there's a gap, there's a window that nobody has applied to, request a media kit, and you'd like to utilize that space, definitely feel free to fill out that form and let me know, and I'm happy to send it to you. I'd like them all to be in use all the time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Debbie.
Hey there.
Hey.
So John, just so you know, there's Donate Life Month. There's I can't remember the other. There's Kidney something else month, and a lot of the hospitals also have just health fairs at certain times. And I know it's Live On New York in New York and New Jersey. It's sharing the New Jersey Sharing Network. They're always at these events at hospitals. So if you're going to go to a hospital to do this, I would recommend trying to find out what their health fair type schedule would be when other people would be at tables, because then they advertise the event, and at least the hospital staff, as well as everyone else coming in and out of the hospital, know about it and could at least be funneled. So you don't have to do any advertising or anything. It's just another part of a network. So
Thanks, Debbie.
That,
Thank
Debbie.
sure.
Victoria, you've got your hand raised.
Great. Hi, yeah, I had a couple of questions. One is, in terms of the kits, you said circulating. How are you, like, are you just ground shipment? Is that sort of, and then is it like one volunteer would be responsible for sending it to someone else? Is that, and then does NKDO cover the cost, or is, you know,
Great
the
question.
volunteer?
Great question. NKDO is covering the cost of shipping. We have a wonderful, member of NKDO named Lori Lee, who has a business where she has offered to work with us on the cost of the shipping, where basically I would send to the person who is receiving the media kit the shipping label that they would then put on the box to have it shipped to the next person. In the event that there needed to be a replenishment of brochures or any other pieces that have been utilized already from the kit that need to be, then I would print out a shipping label to have them ship it back to me so that I could replenish the kit and then ship it to the next person. But yes, that's something that I'll be organizing on my end. Nothing that anybody here has to worry about. Really, the only thing you'd have to worry about is once you were done with your event, making sure that all the materials get back into a box, the shipping label I've given you gets added to it, and then it gets in as quickly as possible.
And then one other quick question was about when you're reaching out to centers, has there been any research or any data we can provide? Because we said like, oh, maybe, lots of donors donate blood, or if someone's likely to donate blood, maybe they'd be considering living organ donation. Is there any evidence of that? Can we say, if someone says, oh, well, how do you know that? Like, can we provide any data?
Great question. I actually am not aware of any specific piece of data to point to. I believe that piece of evidence is anecdotal, but it's possible that evidence exists and I just don't know about it. Debbie, you look like you might have something to say about that.
Yeah, it's funny. Being part of NKDO for a while now, as you're right, Emily, it's very anecdotal. I think just about every single one of the NKDO employees or mentors all donated blood regularly. And even though that might have been a very small sample, it's just something that is Googleable. Like if you look for common attributes for a living donor, blood donations, pet, animal rescue type. We're all the same kind of a person who have those types of qualities.
Okay, makes it so it's more like attributes to people, and then like you said, lived experience.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions before I hop in to answer the questions in the chat?
Hi, I have a question.
Natalie, go ahead.
Sorry, I couldn't find the hand
That's
button
okay.
on here. So do you have any specific, because I know you had a very beautiful talking points to send to the American Red Cross. Do you have any talking points for the event?
Great question. Yeah, so the brochures that I'll be sending to each of the ambassadors has a list of frequently asked questions and then the answers to those questions. So the kinds of questions that it's likely you're going to be asked are either likely to be answerable from your personal lived experience or on the educational materials that we're going to be sending to you. And as a person who has, over the course of my career, spent a lot of time at tabling events, I will say that a great answer when someone asks you a question if you don't know the answer is to say, that's a great question. I don't actually know the answer, but I can find out for you. Or here's a resource that I can point you to where you can find the answer to that question. All of the educational materials that I'll be sending to you have contact information for NKDO employees who would be happy to answer any questions that you aren't able to answer yourself. But yeah, the vast majority of what you're going to be asked is probably going to be about your personal experience as a person adjacent to living donation, and stuff that's going to be easily answerable with the educational materials. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
Emily.
Hey,
This is-
Kathy.
Actually, it's Lynn Bolduc.
Oh, Lynn.
I couldn't find the link. You may want to reach out to Ned Brooks because he did some research with the Tuck Business School about 1.5 years ago. And so he does have statistics on the percentage of people who've donated,
Awesome.
blood, who've gone on to be donors. So there is something out there.
Fantastic. I will definitely follow up on that lead. Thank you so much, Lynn. Does anyone else have any questions? Anything about the process, kind of what the next steps are? Really, all of your next steps are going to be very clearly and concisely articulated in a follow-up email I'm about to send to everybody who RSVP'd for this event. And I very much look forward to having you guys fill out that form, express interest in having a media kit sent your way, and mobilizing you all to this end.
Emily, one other very quick thing is, one of the things I like about the hospital is if you don't have the answer, you could say the nephrology department's on the 17th floor.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I'm kidding, but that's.
I mean, yeah, people have questions. I'm sure that, that there are access to resources there for sure. Hopping into the chat, if we know of a health fair or other similar event, could we table there? Yes, this, kind of the idea behind this is to give you some guidance and some direction on the sorts of local events where NKDO could be represented, and that you could represent us. I feel like health fairs or similar events are very much in line with kind of what we're going for here. Blood drives, I think, are particularly fruitful because of the people who are in attendance at them. They have the capacity to be particularly fruitful, but I don't think that a health fair is a bad place for us to be present. As far as a certain table size, the tablecloths that I have purchased are catered for those kind of 8-foot standard tables at, kind of vendor events, but they are stretchy. So you can use them in a variety of different contexts, and they should still do the trick. Is any contact with ARC necessary in addition to the drive's host? That's not been my experience. Really, the host is kind of in control of what materials are there, who is in attendance. They are the ones welcoming the American Red Cross into their space. So the American Red Cross really doesn't have I don't want to say like they don't have a say in what the host has present there, but I haven't had any indication whatsoever that any of the hosts we've worked with have had concerns about having us be present. The part of the call where I explained what is included in the media kit, I will pull that photo up one more time and share my screen so that you can see that. The media kit includes this tablecloth. It includes brochures with general information about NKDO and our services, as well as frequently asked questions about living donation, smaller cards that can be distributed on snack tables for people to use the QR code to learn more about specific areas of our website that they might be interested in, and then some giveaways that look like, pens and branded bracelets. There's some stickers here as well. So it's pretty low key, nothing crazy. But the idea there is to make sure that there's a variety of educational information, a person there to speak with about living donation if somebody is interested, and maybe a fun little giveaway. I saw on the spreadsheet that you have my name down already for the 27th. Shall I still fill out the form you were going to include in the email? You do not need to. Thank you, Cornelius, for that question. You and I already were in conversation before this meeting took place, so appreciate that. Does anyone else have any questions about this process, about the initiative, how it works? All right. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your afternoon than I already have. Oh, go ahead, Cornelius.
I just thought of a question. You had started doing some of these. Do you know of any person who has connected at a table at an event like we're talking about and then gone on to be a living donor?
That is a great question. The answer is no. We have not been doing this long enough to know that.
Yeah.
Really, we kind of had our first kind of dipping our toe into it in November. And since then, we've certainly had a handful of events. Joe Haney, who's on this call right now, was kind of, a vanguard for the program. He kind of replicated what I and Lori did at U of M over at Brigham Young. And he's had some success. Joe, if you want to speak to that, what your experience has been.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'll tell you a couple of experiences that make me hopeful that someone will be donating a kidney. Cornelius, I have some statistics that show, probably 55-ish people come through, and I go weekly to these blood events. Probably 50 to 55 people come through every week. So that's the exposure. And I'm getting about 2.5 conversations per event. But the conversations, sometimes they're very cursory. Hey, what are you doing here? Or whatever. We chat a little bit. But very often, the ones who actually come forward and ask a question, it turns into a substantial conversation. And I've talked to someone for half an hour. One of the ones that hit me early on, almost every one of these folks have knows somebody with a kidney problem. That's been my experience. And if they're aware of someone with a kidney problem, one of the young ladies that came through said, I've got my mom has got a weak kidney. I mean, there's some problems there. And tell me more about this, and how would I, and I was able to share the voucher program and how she could make a donation, even if she's not a match for her mother. And, when and if her mother needed one, she could have a voucher. She was really impressed. And at the end of it, she said, you know what, I'm going into the military right now, and I think they want me to have all my organs, and I don't know if that's true. But I plan to donate when I get out. And I was kind of moved by that. And then I count in my count, that 55-ish people, I count the Red Cross workers, because they're getting some exposure, right? But I thought that might be cheating a little bit. It's not. I came back one week, and one of the Red Cross workers said, were you here last week? And I said, yeah. She said, well, I was cleaning up. I picked up one of your brochures, because I usually leave 2 or 3 right at the end, just for, the people who were still on the tables. I picked up one of your brochures, and I have it at home. And I said, oh, well, you don't have to bring it back. I mean, you can throw it away if you want, whatever. She's like, no, I've read it, and I want to donate a kidney. And I said, awesome. Let me talk to you more about that. And we spent probably half an hour. And the place we left it was, she said, I need to go talk to my family and get kind of the buy-in from the people that are in my network. Had just last week a young lady come by, and most of them aren't like this direct. I get a lot of, almost everybody smiles, looks at what I'm doing. I love the exposure, but it's not a lot of, direct contact. And I've got maybe 5 or 6 people will take a brochure out of those 55. So I'm getting maybe 10% of that, right? But about 5%, 4 or 5% are actually having a conversation. Anyway, she was walking by, she saw the thing, and I took a Sharpie last week and I wrote, ask me anything. And I stuck it up on a little thing. And I think that might have moved her, because there was a woman walking out. She said, I've got, like 40 grandkids. And my reason for not donating right now is, what if one of them need it? And she was kind of older. And I was able to say, well, there's this voucher thing. Let's talk about that. Right. And then And then this young lady came along and was, looking at the registration table for blood and said, well, tell me about kidney donation. And we probably spent 15, 20 minutes, and she was nodding her head and feeling, I love the idea of going to blood drives because people are already willing to sacrifice for a stranger, for somebody they don't even know, right? If they're doing platelets, they're spending 2 hours in a chair. If they're giving blood, they're still getting jabbed and I mean, there's a level of altruism that's already kind of embedded that you wouldn't get if you wore a sandwich sign on the street corner, right? So it's not so much a shotgun; it's a little bit more of a rifle approach. So anyway, those are just some experiences I had, and people are responding. I mean, not everybody, obviously, but there are people. Every week I talk to somebody, and then finally, I would just say, from my experience, I went to the university, and if you have a university nearby, very often they have a community outreach group. At Brigham Young University, it's called Y Serve, the letter Y and then serve. And I went to their website actually and just drilled down to look for blood drives and they hold it for the whole community. It's not just students. Found the person who coordinates the blood drive and found their phone number on the web. And I called them and she said, wow, thanks for doing that for somebody. And yeah, you're welcome to come to our blood drive. And the final little bit of advice I'd give is it's a shared space with the Red Cross. I agree with Emily. I didn't ask the Red Cross's permission, but it happened that last week we had a room that was kind of pretty small. The university kind of rotates around and the Red Cross barely fit. And I sat out in the hall and I guess you just want to be, you want to be aware that the primary motive of this thing is the Red Cross, and you're there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Functioning in a deferential manner is absolutely appropriate under those circumstances, for sure.
That's it, I guess, Emily, unless you have other questions.
I got a couple hands raised. Debbie.
Sure. Emily, the QR codes and all that stuff. I know we talked about this in other meetings and stuff. They are all going to track people who register through these outreach events, right? It's going to be separate. So whoever asked the question, do we have anyone? If the answer is no now, we are tracking it in such a way that we will know.
Yes,
correct.
We have the
Okay.
ability to see what traffic is going to our
Okay.
website from this specific link.
That's what I thought. Thanks.
Victoria.
Just a question about like time commitment. Have the volunteers or has NKDO set sort of any guidance on like how many hours someone will spend? Because blood drives usually start first thing in the morning, right through to the evening,
Right.
to capture most people. Are people expected to be there all day, or can they do like a morning shift or something? Do you have an expectation? And are you logging that? So like the volunteer says, I did 5 hours and I spoke to 5 people.
Good question. So I do have a form that I'm going to be requesting information from anyone who actually goes to an event. I'm going to send them a form to fill out, and it is going to ask how many hours they spent. I don't have a minimum expectation for hours, but I will say that, based on how long it takes someone to donate blood, about an hour per person, it makes sense to be there for a number of hours so that you're, engaging with a number of people. If you only go for 1 hour, you're only getting the people who are there right then, not the people who are going to be there shortly after that. So in my perfect world, people who are doing this would devote either a morning or an afternoon or even a full day to the task. And I know that that's a big ask, but I also know that the people in this community are eager to be mobilized, and they want to put some work and some effort toward this task. So I'm hopeful that we can come up with a model that works well for both sides. It would be my hope that it would be more than just an hour or two,
Cool.
but
Yeah,
also
that makes sense. Yeah, and I think
respectful of
like it
everybody else's
depends,
time.
maybe the blood center, how long they want you there for. If they want you there all day to, you know, like
Yeah.
you said, I know if you've got to factor in the cost of shipping something, just, you know, what's the point in doing it for an hour kind of thing.
Right.
So
Yep.
let me weigh in if you don't mind. Because I'm retired and I'm able to do it, I go weekly, and those are 6-hour events in my case. I take my iPad, I do work. I'm a writer, so I write stuff. I mean, you know, I think if you have headphones on, you look inaccessible. So I wouldn't do that. But people are willing to come talk to me, you know, with my iPad. I'm not wasting time. And the other thing that I've experienced is, in some cases, if you need to get up and walk around or go do something, in some ways it relieves that awkward tension that people can sometimes feel, that to come up and talk to you. Instead, they can just, you know, I have a little sign I've set that said, "Hey, stepped away for a minute, feel free to take anything." And you know, I've had some brochures go missing while I was gone, which is maybe a good thing. And I'm not gone the whole time, but it gives a little pressure relief, I think, for that. You know, there I am at the table. Gosh, that might be awkward to go talk to him. So, you know, I don't know that you have to be there the whole time. Has been my experience. You can just set up the table and be part of it.
That's definitely my experience as well. There are some times that I like to think of at tabling events, treating people a little bit like a cat. Like sometimes they don't necessarily, you know, want you to be there or want to engage with you. They want to come to you, or they want to come and check out what you've got going on without like being afraid that you're going to engage with them. So stepping away a time or two and giving people that opportunity is definitely a best practice. Jane, I see that you put in the chat that you're wondering about the annual PKD walk for a cure in Charleston, South Carolina. I definitely agree that this is, again, the type of event that could be a great fertile ground for this sort of engagement. I will say that, you know, a walk or an event with this type of volume of people in attendance might have some different engagement levels as far as taking materials and stuff to give away. So definitely including information about what event, what type of, you know, thing that you want a media kit for when you fill out the form is important, so that I know how much stuff to send you. But also the other thing to double check on before you request your media kit for that event is if there's a fee to participate, because some events like that require like a vendor registration fee. That's not something that we're shooting for with this event. The Blood Drive Initiative does not have a cost associated with it, and that's kind of a part of the reason that it's a good event for us to start bulking up. And I think there's a future where we might have budget dollars to allocate to being in attendance at bigger events that have registration fees. And so all of that is to say, if that Walk for a Cure doesn't have a registration fee, then we are definitely good to have that conversation. Does anyone else have any other questions? Well, you guys have been fantastic. This has been a really fruitful conversation. I'm really excited to not only, you know, give you guys an opportunity to be mobilized on NKDO's behalf and on behalf of the cause of identifying new potential living donors, but also, you know, just getting the word about living donation out into the community a little bit further than it already is. That's kind of the name of the game. That's what we're here to do. So. All right. Keep an eye out for a follow-up email from me. It's going to have this recording. It's also going to have all of the links to the relevant documents that we've discussed today. And I look forward to hearing from you guys about days that you'd like to get a media kit to go out into your community.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Emily.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.